Hello and welcome to another video from DieselBoss.com. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the differences between CoPilot Truck GPS program version 9 versus CoPilot Truck version 10. So what you're looking at now on the screen is version 9. If you are not an owner of version 9 and you're not needing the differences between 9 and 10, then this video is really not for you. So a lot of people have said, what are the differences? So this video is going to address some of those. First off, in version 9, if you go to the main menu and you go to plan a trip, doesn't matter from where to where in this case. First thing is, on version 9, you will have the option to click alternate routes, and this is a great option, and this option is still available on version 10. But I'm going to mention it and show it here because it is one of my favorite options with the CoPilot GPS program. However, this button here that says drag route is gone in version 10. So if you are a person who regularly clicks on the drag route and they edit the trip by dragging the route, such as I just did, I just added Reno to our trip. I can also drag route and move it over a little here. The drag route feature is especially helpful for permit haulers. So if you're a permit hauler and you were told that you have to take a certain route and you want to drag that route over to edit the trip, then the drag route feature is maybe very important to you. The drag route is gone in version 10. So keep that in mind, that feature will be gone. If you never use the drag route, then that's not a big deal to you. Now back in displaying the main map, the map you usually will have on the screen while you're driving down the road. On version 9, you have an option to show some information at the bottom left and some more information at the bottom right. By clicking those, you can choose what do you want shown on the right and what do you want shown on the left. This is still the same in version 10, only both options are showing on the right instead of one on the left and one on the right. Both of them will show over on the right hand side. One thing I don't like about version 10 is that here in version 9, if you get a new computer and you want to change computers, you need to deactivate your key before you uninstall the program. And you would go into the main menu and click this little card down here in the middle, and then you would click My Account, and then you click Change Device. When you change device, you always use the mobile internet method. Don't ever use desktop computer. That doesn't work. You click mobile internet, and that will deactivate your product key from this computer so that you can put the program onto another computer. They took that function away in version 10. In version 10, if you uninstall it and you need to reinstall it on another machine, if you bought it from DieselBoss, contact us and we will get your key reset for you. If you bought it directly from ALK Technologies or elsewhere, then you will have to contact the retailer that you bought it from to reset your key. I don't like that about version 10. I think that the user should be able to reset their own key upon on installation of the program. So I wish they would put that back into version 10. Another thing in version 9 that I do like is some people like to click on Browse Map in order to put in a location where they're going to. Their minds are map oriented rather than maybe they don't even know the exact address. Maybe they were like, hey, I was in Missoula and I was approximately, and then they'll zoom in on the map and literally find an area. And I'll say, yeah, I was down here by the railroad tracks. Yep, there's a low bridge right there. I remember that low bridge. So I must have been delivering right here on Alder Street. They'll click on Alder Street and then set that as their next stop. So they're entering the trip by literally clicking on the map. Here is my stop right there, that yellow flag that I just put in. The click on map function is much more difficult in CoPilot version 10. So again, in that respect, on the click on map to find places, version 9 wins. Another option in version 9 that is gone in version 10 is the fuel cost calculator. You may not even know this is in there if you own version 9. Maybe you've never used it. However, when you are planning a trip, if you click on trip options, you see a button here that says fuel costs. In fuel costs, I can type in my MPG. Let's say that my MPG 5. And we'll say that the cost per gallon is $3.20. And when I go to calculate the route, it shows me my estimated fuel costs for this trip. That feature is gone in version 10 as well. So if you rely heavily on the fuel cost option, or if that's just a nice feature that you don't want to lose, once again, version 9 wins on this feature. Another rather huge feature, I feel, in version 9 is the ability to go into the main menu and go to your route settings, and you have your vehicle routing profile. The vehicle routing profile is still in version 10. This is going to give you the option to switch between many different vehicle types. However, if you edit the truck profile, you will have an option in here called Road Preferences. Clicking Road Preferences has always allowed us on previous versions of CoPilot to say things like we're going to strongly favor freeways. And by setting different speeds, these help us with our ETA, our estimated time of arrival. If you increase the speed that you think you average on this particular kind of road, your ETA will be sooner. If you decrease this speed to a lower speed, your ETA will be longer. These two settings, being able to favor, strongly favor, neutral, avoid secondary roads, strongly avoid local streets, little streets in the middle of town, being able to set these preferences and being able to set the miles per hour has always allowed users of CoPilot Truck to very much customize their default routing preferences and their ETA numbers. In version 10 CoPilot, this screen is no longer there. What they are using is the national network of trucking roads, and they're making the calculation off of that, off of your weight, your height, your length, and they're also estimating the ETA. Instead of you setting the ETA here, CoPilot itself is going to estimate the ETA based on typical traffic patterns that are on the route that you're taking, through the states that you're going through the time of day that you're going through. It does a much more complex algorithm to try to give you an accurate ETA based on real-time data. And if you have real-time traffic enabled on your CoPilot, it's going to use the actual traffic in front of you to automatically adjust the ETA. So the thought process is, okay, on version 10, we're going to make the ETAs and the road preferences much smarter and more automatic for you. However, for those of us who like to go in and tweak the road preferences ourselves, or maybe even for permit haulers, this could be a problem. Okay, so I kind of like being able to tweak them on version 9, and that function's gone in version 10 as well. Another function difference between version 9 and version 10 is in version 9, if you go to the main menu and you click these three little dots, which you may or may not have ever done, You will find state mileage reports. The state mileage reports are still available in version 10. So if you use these for IFTA fuel tax or other purposes, the mileage reports are still there. However, this weather button is gone. There is no longer a weather checker built directly into the GPS. CoPilot feels that most people at this point are using their smartphone or some other method in order to determine the weather. But let's say I want to view the weather at my destination. Well, it looks like it's very hot in Yuma, Arizona today when I click this. So I've always found this to be a neat little function that was in version 9. The weather function is no longer in version 10. And so a lot of people will say, okay, well, I have done looking at these differences and I like version 9 better. I want to stay with version 9. But what about the maps? I need the new maps. Okay, that's easy peasy. So as long as you're running the most current version of version 9, you will be able to go into the main menu, and then you'll click this little guy right here. This is the My CoPilot icon. And then you will see My Maps. Click My Maps. You will click North America. And then you'll see the version of the maps that you've got installed. Whatever you installed when you first put the program on your computer will be showing here with a red X next to it. If you have new maps available to your version 9, which are the same maps as version 10, there will be a message right here where my mouse is moving, and it'll say Update Available. You'll click that message in order to go get new maps. Now I'm going to simulate that because I'm going to delete these maps with this red X. So now I have no maps on this particular installation of CoPilot. In order to simulate what you would do, once you do go to My Maps, you're going to select the one that you want. In this case, I chose all of North America, so that's going to be Mexico, Canada, and the United States. You could just choose just the US or just Canada or just a particular region if you wanted. Many drivers or most drivers will either choose all of North America or all of the US. So I just clicked North America, and you can see that it's currently downloading. Okay, here's a look at the opening screen of CoPilot Laptop Truck version 10. I will say one thing right off the bat. It has my GPS location here. It has the red dot. And version 9 did have quite a few issues sometimes when you first started it up, and in that you had to go forcefully tell it where to find your GPS in your computer before it would find your position. I will say that version 10 hasn't been having that problem. If my GPS is plugged in to the USB port, it finds me right away. So that's a good thing. Okay, you will also notice that we have very much of a mobile application look to the program. You'll have the 3 lines. If you use Android or iPhones, you're going to see this symbol used everywhere for menus. You're going to see that the buttons on CoPilot Laptop Truck 10 are very big because it is designed for touchscreens. Once again, it's very mobile looking and less Windows looking than previous versions. There's no more menu button down at the bottom left like you would normally expect on Windows. Instead, the menu button is up here with the 3 lines, similar to what you'd see on a phone or a tablet. So I'm going to go ahead and, let's zoom out just a bit. You're going to see that the maps, the look of the maps is very similar to version 9 or version 8. The more you zoom in, the more detail you get. The look of the maps can be changed also in the settings. So this so far is very good. If you drag the map around, you will get this symbol right here, which will force the map back to the center of where you are. So if I move the map, I can recenter anytime. That is also the same as version 9. Okay, going into the main menu, this is the entrance to the main menu with the quick buttons for the most common tasks here. And then if you click settings, this is it. This is every settings menu in version 10. It is relegated to these 3 rows of settings. Some of these settings will look similar to what you're used to on version 9. However, I have to warn that one thing I dislike about version 10 is that in your trucking profile, there are no more roads that you can set, such as if you saw earlier in the video where you favor your freeways and you avoid your little streets and so forth. That function's gone. You cannot alter how CoPilot favors or avoids roads. The reasoning behind that, when I asked, is that it's going to use the National Trucking Network that you see right here, and it's going to use traffic patterns, traditional traffic pattern data that it's constantly updating from all of these mobile phones that are running the program. So their reasoning is that it's going to make smarter decisions without you having to understand the road setting screen. Personally, I think that that's going to prohibit our permit users, for example, and our more advanced users from forcefully changing the routing decisions that you could do prior to version 10. So I wish that that was back in here. One significant thing I would like to show you in here, because all these other settings are the same as what you're used to, by the way. One thing I would like to show you is right here. Elevation routing. This is new. This is kind of a novel idea. It's kind of a good idea. I've had drivers ask over the years. They'll say, well, does the GPS have a setting where it'll keep me under a certain elevation, especially in the wintertime? Well, somebody decided that was a good idea in version 10 CoPilot. So I could set an amount, say, I don't know, 9,000 feet, pretty high. 9,000 feet is my amount, and I've turned on the elevation routing. This means that the routing decisions that CoPilot will make will keep you under 9,000 feet unless there is no other possible way to get there, or unless your destination itself is over 9,000 feet. So kind of a novel thing, elevation routing. It's a good thing in version 10. Practical routing and shortest routing are the easiest ways to alter the automatic decisions of CoPilot 10. Practical being not necessarily the shortest, but it's usually what you want to use for most normal day-to-day trucking. It still does have hazmat routing in here, so once again, if you choose one of these categories of hazmat, you're going to get routing decisions made based on that category and the law of the land. For our RV people, the RV routing is still here. It is a very good RV routing GPS for those who have a Windows tablet or a Windows laptop in their RV. You have quickest and shortest. You have the ability to choose from a couple of different height restrictions of your RV. You can choose whether or not to use toll roads. You can choose whether to avoid ferries and propane restricted tunnels, and whether or not you could go across borders. So this is going to be a setting that takes into account the fact that it's much more difficult in an RV to take tight right-hand turns, for example, just like in a truck. It'll take into account the weight of your heavier weight roads and so forth. So if you are looking for a laptop or a Windows-based RV GPS, CoPilot 10 still has that capability. We still have our speed limit warnings. We still have our point of interest alerts. So if I, for example, want to be alerted 3 miles ahead on my route for truck services, I can turn that on. Another one that I like to turn on would be your parking and your rest areas. So I've now set on alerts so that when I'm driving down the road, if I come up on truck services or a rest area within 3 miles, I'm going to get an audible and a visual alert. Same as version 9. State mileage reports are here, same again as version 9. If you turn on your state mileage routing, you will get reports that you can export out of the program for every mile that you drove in different states. I feel that this is not as accurate as most of you are now running electronic logs, and most of your electronic logs have state-by-state mileage reporting built into them. The downfall for using the CoPilot routing is that you have to have your CoPilot turned on, and you have to be in a route. If you don't have those things happening, like if you know where you're going, you're not going to be recording your state mileage. So you could lose state mileage by you relying on the CoPilot mileage report unless you're always running CoPilot. So it's kind of a feature that may not be as helpful as the ELDs now that we're in the ELD age. I'm not going to go through the voices. They're the same. Styles of the maps are the same. Sounds are the same. Data and battery, again, this is going to be more towards your mobile, right? It's going to be more towards your cell phones, more toward your tablets. So with a laptop, if you do want to monitor cellular data usage and battery usage, there is a setting there where you can turn on those types of limitations. GPS, this is the screen that we used to have to go into in version 9 quite a bit actually in order to search for our GPS connection, and we would force it to go find our GPS. Now right now I've already got the GPS, so going to find it again failed. However, we do have the signal. They took away the screen that shows you the signal strength, and that is a bummer. I wish we had that signal strength. I missed that screen. However, like I said at the beginning or earlier in the video, the GPS automatic functions of CoPilot Laptop Truck 10 seem so far to be fairly strong. So I don't know if I'm going to miss the signal strength screen or not, but I'm letting you know that it's not there. I'm going to back up. So we're just going to end here with a short trip that I planned just to show you what it would look like in motion on CoPilot Laptop Truck 10. So right now I'm using an English voice and I am in two-dimensional mode. If I click here, I'm also in auto zoom. So two-dimensional mode is zooming into the next turn, and as soon as we complete this maneuver, it will zoom back out. These roads over here to the left are trucking restricted. You'll see this burnt orange color on them. These are no trucks allowed off to our side there. So we've taken our turn, so you see in the two-dimensional auto zoom mode it's going to zoom back out, or I can click into 3D mode here. Zoom out a little. Some drivers prefer 3D, some drivers prefer 2D. Okay, thank you very much for watching.